Hi everyone. As you all might know, the dominant decks of the day, that is Food Codes and Astrobiotics, all have a single win condition. Get to 7 points in the most expedited way possible. But I still think decks with a dual win condition are just as powerful, if not more powerful. As such, I've come up with this deck right here, which is basically Astrobiotics with the mid-season psychographics. Sorry, no mid-seasons, with the psychographics threat. With psychographics, you are able to fast advance out all those big agendas such as Project Build and the Global Food, which gives you two things. Firstly, it frees up deck slots for you because you're playing with fewer agendas compared to the typical 11 of Astrobiotics. More importantly, it gives you good eyes. You can actually play Data Raven and Gutenberg in this deck, and they will serve you very well. Even if the runner decides to float a couple of tags, it turns on psychographics immediately. You can fast advance an Astroscript, a Build. You can, place, say, 3 advancement tokens on a food, advance it once, and then use an Astro token to score it for 3 points. Same with Build. Psychographics is a very powerful card, and I think it fits pretty well in this deck. There's no Scorched Earth, no Traffic Accident, but who cares? There's no space for mid-seasons, however, but that's fine because this deck doesn't make too much money. As with Astrobiotics, you don't need that much money to function. Couple of pop-up windows, a special offer to turn Biotic Label on, and the standard sweet hedge funds will all do the trick. It does seem a bit powerful, and in fact, there's so much influence left over that I'm willing to splash for 1 Turing, which I think is really important against the current influx of DLR Val, Faust, and against other matchups. It's just a generally very annoying remote ice because it protects your sensitivity grids, with which you use to score the early Astro scripts. Yes, you cannot bait out agenda scores. You can't place an Astro out in the open and mid-seasons your opponent because there's no mid-seasons. And a Data Raven on the remote is not that good unless you have a QPM behind it. Speaking of which, this is another big advantage of this deck. With the tag ice, you can now play defensive agendas such as QPM that make it easier for you to get to victory. Typically, Astrobiotics requires to score 4 agendas. This deck does not have breaking news, so all you need to do is to score 3 agendas between Build and Astro on the Sand or with Biotic, and let the runner do the last one for you with QPM. Alternatively, yes, there are lots and lots of ways you can score. You can use Psycho to get a 3-pointer out in Build or Food, thus requiring only 2 more 2-pointers. There are lots of combinations, and I think this is generally very powerful. All your eyes are useful, and you have a good number of them. So let's see how this plays out. I'm up against James again, and this time he's playing Max. It's probably Apocalypse Max. I keep my opening hand. It does not have Astro inside, but it has money and it has ice, so I can't complain too much. And I don't think he's going to raid my hand, so I should be fine. The pop-up goes on HQ, which is not a very good decision usually because you don't want them to siphon through your pop-up and gain more money from that. That said, I'm still doing that because I would rather have the pop-up on HQ than on R&D. On R&D, I'd rather have the Data Raven to catch him out if he tries to get my QPMs. And here I rest the Raven to keep him out of the run. Alright, so he has basically been cashing up, so now he has a lot more money than me. And if I draw a Biotic label, an Astro here, I would look to score it, but that's not the case. So I think I click for a credit here to go up to 8 credits. I believe that would be my move. Or I ditch something. I don't think I would do that. Pretty tough choice here. I could slot the QPM in the remote as well. And I think I was considering that, yes, because I do have 2 clicks left, so I'm able to play the Data Raven and slot the QPM behind there. So he's going to be in a lose-lose situation no matter what. He attempts to siphon me so that he can get into the remote, which is usually a smart thing to do, not against QPM. So I'm quite happy that I baited him to doing this. He doesn't clear the tags before running, so I'm going to get a freebie. Also, I didn't explain the most important part of my deck actually is Sync. Why do I play this in Sync rather than any other ambient ID? Firstly, it's the small deck size, allows you to draw your Astros and Biotics that much faster. This deck is still hugely based off Astro Biotics, make no mistake about that. I would score the Astro Biotic train out here, but I can't because I don't have enough money. His Siphon proved to be pretty effective. He did clear tags at the end of it, however, but proceeds to keyhole me, and he's going to float tags from here on out. So this is the main problem with Sync. When your opponent decides to say, screw it, I'm going to keyhole you, through all your tag ice, suddenly you realize that you don't have much in the way of stopping the runner. At this point, can I win? Technically I can. I do have a Psycho in hand. As long as I gain enough money, I can actually Psycho a Bill for victory. Unfortunately, he found 2 agendas, including one of the bills which I was going to score. That's a big problem. So now I'm on a ticking time bomb. He's definitely going to continue keyholing me for the rest of the game, and I need to hope that my R&D doesn't give way before he finds the victory. As with food codes, he needs 4 agendas to win, and there are only 10 agendas in my deck. To make things worse for him, 3 of them are QPMs which he cannot steal because he's tagged. So basically, there are 7 agendas in there, 2 of which he has stolen. He needs to find 2 out of the remaining 5 live agendas. 2 of which are in my hand. There are 3 of them left in R&D. This is why he's not getting much in the way of keyhole runs. But the time's still ticking. Every time he gets 3 fresh cards off R&D, I cannot let that happen. I need to start scoring out now, and I would almost win right now if I actually had a Bill in hand. With 9 credits, I can cycle Bill out for 5 points, I think. 5 points. Almost enough to win. I need 6 to win. That's 2 more credits. I've been trying to draw for the Bill, but I just can't find it. It's as elusive as the agendas that my opponent is trying to find right now. What do I do here? Do I try to lure him to my remote with a QPM? I don't think he'll fall for it. Besides, that QPM won't really help me in my quest to score right now. The other option is to try to score all the remaining agendas in my hand. 3 points of food, 2 points of Astro, and 1 point of the QPM, which the runner will help me steal. That's another possibility. But I only have 1 psychographics. I can't steal them both. So, perhaps the right move at this point would have been to play the Astro and attempt to score it the next turn. I think that would have been a pretty wise choice. Or install double advance the Astro to make him bait him to running it. I think that would have been the right choice. At this point, I couldn't afford to slow play and hope to top deck the Bill, which is possible because he's not locking my R&D. He's simply keyholing through my R&D. So he still doesn't see what he needs to see. He has dumped an Astro in my heap, however, and that means I basically only have 1 turn left to win. Because now he keyholes, and what does he get? I don't think he gets anything of value here, and his turn is done. So I basically have 1 turn left to do something. Otherwise, he's going to keyhole 4 more times and probably find the final agenda. I did ditch the QPM into my archives, hoping he would run it and steal it for me, but that wasn't the case. Click 1, I drew, hoping to find a Bill, no Bill. If there was a Bill, I would have won on 11 credits. So I basically did the next best thing right here. I scored the food. Again, this is not a good play. I really should have tossed the Astro in the remote. Force him to play guessing games. Because that was basically my best chance of winning. My chances of winning were very slim if I was going to go for the Bill top deck, and I should have realized this. I should have realized that he would have been very afraid to run my remote, knowing that there's probably a QPM in there. So yes, that was a very fatal error. Besides, I do have a Turing on the remote, so I could stop him if I wanted to. I definitely should have tried to score the Astro. Big mistake. As such, he's going for the keyhole now, and he finds my second Bill and my second Astro to win the game. Netrunner these days is so hard, isn't it? I mean, look at my deck list here. It seems to fare well against most major archetypes that you face right now. Against Kate, she has no easy way of getting through Gutenberg or Raven. Against the Arvel, well, they'll get tagged, which means the QPMs are yours, and you can easily just score other stuff. And Siphons will also help you get those QPMs scored. They also don't have Cloud to stop you against Fast Advanced Build. Apparently I was wrong, because this Max deck is pretty similar to the Arvel, and it absolutely crushes me. If you notice, the entire game there was the same old thing sitting on the table that I couldn't afford to trash because that would have sapped too much of my tempo. Had he decided to siphon me with his same old thing, I would have lost way earlier because I wouldn't have anywhere near the 11 credits I needed to close out the game. Another problem was placing Toll Booth on HQ to defend against Siphons. I probably should have placed it on R&D instead. Sure, I would have gotten Siphon to death, but, well, that is something you have to expect, and more importantly, I needed to stop bleeding agendas from R&D. That being said, I could afford those few turns where in Limbo, where he was running through my Raven and accumulating tags, because after all, there were very few agendas left in R&D. I should have played better by abusing the fact that the corp has hidden information. I should have started playing face down cards in the remote instead of letting him keyhole me willy-nilly and forcing myself into a corner where the only way I was going to win was through a top deck build. So yes, there were a lot of gameplay mistakes, but at the same time, it just goes to show how a lot of decks nowadays just have blind spots to a couple of decks, strong decks out there. This is why there are not that many tier 1 decks out there. Only Food Courts and Prepaid Cape really have an answer to most of the field. If not all of the field rather, have a decent matchup against most of, if not all opponents. Even decks like DLR Val, which won Worlds. Slot a Freelancer or an all-seeing eye in your deck with archive memories and boom, DLR Val is gone. So yeah, that's the way it is, and I just met my nemesis that game. Apocalypse Max was really hard to handle. When the runner decides to go tag me that early on, there's nothing much I can do about it. So that's it. Thanks for watching Happy Net Running. Goodbye.